The relatives of dozens of victims killed in the October 7th attacks in Israel launching a landmark lawsuit against Iran, Syria, and North Korea. The Anti-Defamation League filing the lawsuit on behalf of 100 families, accusing those three countries of playing a pivotal role leading up to Hamas's attacks. The plaintiffs include Nahar Netta. You see him right there in the middle. He's the son of a woman killed in a kibbutz along the Israeli border with Gaza. He's demanding accountability as concerns of a wider conflict in the region grow.
And we want to bring some sort of justice to my mom, to our family, and to other families that are tragically influenced by this horrific act.
Joining us now is James Pasch, Senior Director of National Litigation at the Anti-Defamation League. Mr. Pasch, good morning.
Good morning.
Okay, now some people might hear that you're suing North Korea, Iran, and think, why even bother? They're never going to pay. But the lawsuit could allow families to actually tap into what's called the Victims of State-Sponsored Terrorism Fund. Break that down for our viewers and explain to them why that's important and how plaintiffs could be compensated.
Thank you first for your time this morning. After these families, 130 individuals receive justice in the U.S. Federal District Court, they do have access to the U.S. VSST fund, which is a fund that was set up by Congress in the mid-90s for families who do receive judgments as victims of incidents of foreign terrorism against state-supported foreign terrorist states. And just recently, a bill dropped in Congress, the American Victims of Terror Compensation Act, that will hopefully add more funds into the fund so that justice could be done on behalf of the victims of this heinous and brutal attack.
And Mr. Pasch, you and I both know that more than 1,200 people were killed in the attacks and another 250 were taken hostage, many of whom still have not made it back home. But the reason the group is going after Iran and the others is because the argument is they provided support to Hamas, correct?
Correct, right? But for the support of Iran and Syria and North Korea, an attack of this magnitude could not have occurred. The financial support, the tactical support, the military support, and the world needs to understand the facts and learn about who is responsible for October the 7th. October 7th denialism started taking place just minutes after the attack. And this case will set the record straight about who committed the attack, who was responsible for it happening, who the victims were, and to bring justice in this case.
James, I would argue not only did denialism start, but also we saw the narrative shift around the different stories that would come out of the region, almost downplaying the brutality of the crime that actually happened on October 7th. Iran already called Hamas a proxy group and has provided millions of dollars to militants in Gaza. Now, Hamas leadership have also visited the country. Is a lawsuit even necessary to prove that connection?
I think a lawsuit's very necessary to prove the connection, right? Because we're talking about the most heinous, murderous, brutal attack against the Jewish people since the Holocaust. And there needs to be a record, both historically and now, about what each nation state did to contribute to that heinous attack.
Mr. Pasch, I have to let you go, but what happens now?
What happens now is that we serve the three different nation states and we go to court, the U.S. Federal District Court in Washington, D.C., and the world will hear the story of each one of the 130 victims in this case.
Mr. Pasch, please keep us updated, and thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for your time this morning.
Absolutely.